This is not your grandpa's wrestling magazine. Wait, actually it is, and that's what makes it glorious. Wrestling Illustrated, June 1965, is a time capsule sealed in blood, sweat, and bravado, capturing a moment in wrestling when men were bruisers, heels were hated with pure conviction, and the only spot was the one you left in the ring after a piledriver. It opens with a dramatic title image of Freddie Blassie, the self-proclaimed King of Men. His glare is icy, his posture regal, and the caption beneath reads like a threat, "There's no room for mercy in the ring." The magazine wastes no time setting the tone, demanding your attention with a silent snarl. An editorial follows that reads like a war cry. The writer rails against the creeping trend of entertainment-first wrestling and praises the true warriors who keep the sport alive. This isn't about showmanship. It's about the struggle, about grit, about headlocks that hurt and suplexes that scar. The editor calls for a renaissance of legitimacy and throws barbs at masked gimmicks and slapstick sideshows. A deep dive into the chaotic world of Freddie Blassie recounts his matches in vivid, almost horrifying detail, particularly his infamous tooth-biting antics that sent fans and foes alike to the emergency room. They chronicle his earliest days, his warpath through California, and how audiences began fearing and loving him in equal measure. The article paints him not just as a heel, but as a cultural phenomenon who forced the sport to look itself in the mirror. Next comes a tribute to Johnny Valentine. The tone is hushed reverence, bordering on fear. Valentine is called a ring scientist of pain. His matches are described as slow, deliberate, and devastating. There's analysis of his most famous matches, including brutal wars that left both men bloodied and audiences exhausted. Opponents are quoted, off the record in some cases, talking about his unrelenting stiffness and lack of remorse. He is painted as a mythic figure, a quiet destroyer who lets the damage speak for him. The Grappler's Gallery follows, a stark photo feature profiling Don Curtis, Haystacks Calhoun, and Yukon Moose Kolak. Calhoun is lionized for his deceptive agility and carnival freak charisma. Cholak's brute power and immense girth are celebrated like a sideshow act given credibility. Don Curtis, often overlooked, is labeled the most cerebral of the trio, a technician and a ring general who didn't need volume to command a crowd. A spotlight on the Southern Territories documents the Assassins versus the Torres brothers feud in Georgia with the gravity of a blood feud. Brawls spilled into aisles and parking lots. Ken Lucas in Mid-South is praised for his fan connection, believable babyface fire, and smart in-ring style. The write-up emphasizes the regional flavor of each feud, contrasting styles in Memphis versus New Orleans, and how promoters tailored storytelling to local crowds. Then comes the centerpiece of the magazine, a dream match analysis between Bruno Sammartino and Lou Thesz. Structured like a boxing tale of the tape, it combines historical and technical context. Bruno's overwhelming power and crowd allegiance are dissected alongside Thesz's ground-based strategy and legacy. Fan letters provide passionate, split opinions. Some claim Bruno's strength would break Thesz in two, others say Thesz would tie him up like a pretzel. Experts weigh in with speculative match outcomes. One commentator writes, "It would be the chess match of the century played with steel and bone." The piece ends with a haunting quote. The only winner in that match would be the audience. Coverage of Pittsburgh and LA follows. In Pittsburgh, Bruno continues to steamroll challengers, selling out arenas and carrying the weight of a generation. In LA, Pampero Firpo's brawl with Mark Lewin is painted as chaos incarnate, with Firpo likened to a jungle beast unchained. The West Coast scene is framed as the wild frontier, where brawlers and showmen go to reinvent themselves or disappear. St. Louis and the Midwest take the spotlight next. Vern Gang is portrayed as a regional kingpin, still dominant and precise. Larry Hennig receives a gritty write-up about his toughness and relentless aggression. Pedro Morales is described as a rising star, impressing audiences with his energy and versatility. The magazine draws subtle comparisons between Gang's calculated approach and Morales' exuberant energy, suggesting an inevitable generational clash. The Silent Men features wrestlers who avoid promos and flash. These men, Bob Ellis, Bill Melby, and others, are profiled through solemn images and short paragraphs. The magazine honors their blue-collar approach to violence. These aren't characters, they're workers, warriors, and anchors to a sport often tempted by spectacle. What they're saying compiles behind-the-scenes commentary and speculation. Lou Albano brags about his latest protégés, issuing veiled threats to unnamed rivals. Bobo Brazil throws shade at a Florida opponent, claiming he wouldn't last 3 minutes without dirty tricks. Killer Kowalski's quote stands out, "Let the young guys come. I'll send them home with broken teeth." The section is part gossip rag, part manifesto, part prophecy. The fan mail section is a whirlwind of emotion. Readers rant and rave without filter. One fan demands Buddy Rogers retire for ducking opponents. Another wants a Bruno versus Waldo von Erich rematch, timed patriotically for Independence Day. There are handwritten poems praising the von Brauners, bizarre conspiracy theories about masked men, and furious arguments over who is the most legitimate world champion. A cartoon provides comic relief to close the magazine. Heels getting clobbered by chairs, mops, and angry grandmothers. It's exaggerated, hilarious, and a wink to the long-suffering baby faces everywhere. But even this tongue-in-cheek ending feels earned, like a bow after a bare-knuckle brawl. There are no ads for ice cream bars or hotline scams here, just thick columns of pure wrestling prose. You can smell the sweat, feel the cigar smoke, hear the roar of the crowd. Every sentence is soaked in conviction. Every feature feels like gospel to the faithful. This magazine is a love letter to a brutal ballet that didn't need pyrotechnics. It's 50-plus pages of jaw-breaking, chest-slapping, eye-gouging history. And in a world that's forgotten how real wrestling used to feel, Wrestling Illustrated, June 1965, is here to remind you. Loudly and without apology. From the pages and from the past, it's a masterclass in menace.